Hey, Oli, mi
Oi!
floris. We're here with Ermias Deleón. I'm Scarlett Alicea, and this is La Mi Boricua podcast. I'm super, Uepa! And I'm super excited to have Ermias on today. I just wanted to get started with, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, tell us where you're living, how you came to Puerto Rico the first time. I know you used to live here. If you want to just start with giving us a little bit of background.
Sure. Um, Hello, Orly. My name is Ermias Deleón. Um, I currently live in Chicago. I used to live in Puerto Rico back in 2020 is the last time I was there living there. I was there during before COVID and during COVID. I was there for Wanda. Um, Not fun, but it was a time. What got me out there was just reconnecting with my roots. I was never crazy about my Latinidad up until high school when my mom forced me to learn Spanish, because I did not care. But after that, I just continued to learn. And at one point, and I'll get into this later, I used to be first favored because I did not know any better until my grandmother bought me a book, which I always recommend, War Against All Puerto Ricans. That really changed my mindset and really wanted me to dive deeper into the history because I love history. And I wanted to dive deeper into my family history. So that brought me to Carolina, Puerto Rico, and I stayed there in the barrio and city that my family's from in Buena Vista. And yeah, it was just a time. That's where I had like my most like I feel like I had my spiritual awakening.
Oh, you chose Buena Vista and Carolina specifically because your family is from there.
Yes, I did extensive search to see where now is all my family from Buena Vista. I do not know. But that's where I felt called the most when I was doing my research. And honestly, I wasn't even super excited to be from Carolina. Like while I was living there, I was trying to figure out where else is my family from. Because at that time in my head, a true Boricua was a Jibaro. And so I was like, I want to be from, El Monte. I was wanting to be from Yapo. And I was like, I have to have some family from there. Like, where can I represent this in the mountains? And then I just couldn't find anything. I was really trying really hard. And then I was like, well, it's clear that my family's from here. I'm here to reconnect. So let me reconnect with, my familial ties. And I learned so much about Carolina and it felt like home. Um, and I've had some interesting spiritual things happen to me there. And yeah, it was just that's one place I can walk around those streets and feel at home, no matter what part of my life.
Oh, tell me about one of the spiritual experiences you had in Carolina. I'm dying to know.
Okay, like I really, oh my God, it actually starts when I was little. So growing up, I was not. I was raised by. I'm Ethiopian and Puerto Rican. My mother's from Ethiopia. So if any Ethiopians out there listening, hello. But I was raised mostly by her side of the family, and she did not tell me anything about my Puerto Rican identity or whatnot. But when I was little, I used to always have these dreams of walking in the Caribbean. Like I knew it was the Caribbean. I had this weird connection to the Spanish Caribbean. When I was little, 3 years old, 4 years old, in my head, the Caribbean was Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, and the Bahamas, and that was it. And so in my head, this had to be Cuba because I knew people were speaking Spanish. But I would walk down this street and I'd like go to this spot, a colmao, and get like pop candy with my cousins and just run around the street at night. And I used to have that dream over and over and over and over again. Fast forward to me living in Puerto Rico, in Carolina, in Buena Vista. I'm walking on the street and I'm having like weird like flashbacks and deja vu. And I realized this street and that building, which is a pet store, and I'm wondering if it was ever a Colmao, like a little grocery store or whatever when I was like back in the early 2000s, because that exact street, those exact buildings I used to dream about. And I thought that was so interesting because it immediately I felt like my childhood was there. And another time I was just sitting out on my patio in my apartment, and it was a full moon, and that moon looked huge. And I remember looking at the moon and thinking about my bisabuela, whose name is Paulina de la Luna, and
Mm.
the last name is De La Luna. So like I'm looking at the moon, and I remember thinking, I want my ancestors to be present. So I said, I closed my eyes and I said, if you're here, let me know. I closed my eyes and I just meditated. And I kid you not, I felt, I saw one in my mind's eye, a bunch of people in all white. And it was all dark skinned Afro-Puerto Rican women. And they're all white. They had headpieces on too, and they were all surrounding me. And one of them put their hand on me. And as soon as I felt that hand on my shoulder, it felt I jumped because I would looked around. I'm like, who is grabbing me when I'm trying to meditate? And I got so scared. I asked not to ever do that again. But that led me down this like whole journey of looking into Santeria and this, that, and the third. And then I realized, oh my gosh, a lot of Santeros, they wear white. In Bomba, white. And, this, that, and the third. And I'm starting to make these connections. Of course, when I moved back to the States, I was like, I need to be a good Christian. I need to take my Christianity more seriously. And I walked away from a little bit from spirituality. But every time I come back, something happens. Last time was with you. I got to meet you. I got to have this amazing experience. Obviously, the hostel I was in, oh my gosh, a nightmare. Oh my gosh, a nightmare. That was my first time ever staying in a hostel. And I was like, let me stay in a hostel in Puerto Rico. Oh my gosh. I would do better research because apparently there was one that was like $3 more. So much nicer. And it was right at the beach. So next time if I do a hostel, it's not gonna be that one. But the location was amazing.
Okay, well, I do know maybe the hostel you're talking about by the beach because my friend stayed there the other day. So if you need
Really?
help finding that, let me know. But honestly, I just hope that like I have a place for you to stay. Honestly, you can stay with me even if you're okay with staying in a studio apartment. You are welcome to stay with me.
Listen, I'm not gonna say no. If it's okay with you, I'll bring everything. Like
Perfect. Just tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up with your Ethiopian and Puerto Rican mixed heritage.
so Ethiopian culture, so there's things that are very similar to Puerto Rican culture, but things are drastically different as well. Um And so my family was very religious. Ethiopia is a very religious country. It's majority Orthodox. I was baptized Egyptian Coptic, which is like Egyptian Orthodox. I was baptized when I was 7. And Ethiopian Orthodox, only babies can get baptized, so I couldn't get baptized at my mom's church. But I was raised in an Ethiopian Orthodox household. Um, and so it was tough, especially being I'm queer, I'm gay, I'm non-binary, they them pronouns, they them eye. And I was in the closet. Like up until 2022, I was in the closet. And I just like it was tough. My family didn't understand it. And but like it was I knew our religion was so embedded in the culture, it was really hard to separate the two. But when it came to how the community showed up for each other, it was beautiful. I mean, I love history, and I used to hyper focus on Ethiopian history because it's so slept on. Not a lot of people know about it. Not a lot of people want to know about it, and not a lot about it pre-Christian civilization is known because as soon as they became Christian, they're like, who cares about the gods we used to worship? I do because that's part of history, and I want to know what y'all were doing. Um, but it was very interesting. My aunt is a caterer, so I grew up in her catering business. Since I was little, we were in that garage helping her cut up some stuff and whatnot. And yeah, but somehow, some way, Puerto Rican culture always found me, not knowing that
Wow.
I was Puerto Rican at that time, because I was raised mostly with my Ethiopian, like side. And my mom, I wasn't raised by my biological father, who is Afro-Puerto Rican. I was raised by my mother, and she did not care to tell me I was Puerto Rican. She did not care. She
Yeah,
did.
because I read in your answers that you said like you were looking around at your other family members, and that's kind of when it clicked for you that like you looked different from your other family members, and that's when you kind of started exploring your Latino heritage. Is that true? Like,
Yeah,
what was that like? Like you didn't know when you were growing up that you were Puerto Rican? When did you find out and
no.
how?
It was messy. It was so messy. Oh my gosh. I found out when I was in middle school. Well, on my way to freshman year of high school. Um, my aunt gave me so when I was a child, my father, the man I call my father, we're not blood related, but he came into my life when I was 4. He's African American. That's my father till the day I die. When you're young and you go through traumatic experiences, your body and mind at such a young age often just creates a fabricated story. And so after a while, I started to tell myself and believe that my father was actually my biological father. And my mom was always training me to say, just say, she would, now this wouldn't be the correct terminology, but she would just say, when people ask you who you are, say you're Ethiopian and black. Obviously, Ethiopians are black. And this meant she meant African American. Just say you're African American and Ethiopian. So that's what I always used to say. African Americans never saw me as African American. Always felt like I was different. But Ethiopians always felt like I was different too. I looked like my family, but I didn't look like my family. Like I looked like my
Mm.
mom, but in a different font. And and so growing up, a lot of people in the Ethiopian community used to call me Tukur. And Tukur means black. And that's what they
Mm.
use for African Americans or anybody to separate themselves basically from blackness. You're not Habesha, you're Tukur.
Oh,
And so,
interesting. So, like within the Ethiopian community in the United States, like it's basically like the people that are Ethiopian, that's how they differentiate themselves from other like Black Americans, other African Americans, correct?
yeah, they will say Tukur. Like they're black, I'm Habesha, they're Tukur. I'm not, they will be like, I'm not Tukur. Even though that means black and we are black. Um, it's a whole thing. Unfortunately, Ethiopia is kind of the Dominican Republic of Africa. There's a lot of colorism. There's this, that, and the third. I mean, when George Floyd's situation was going on, there's a lot of Ethiopians in Seattle and in the US and DC. When the prime minister was asked, well, how do you feel about the Ethiopian diaspora and the immigrants that come here and the racism they face? Our prime minister said, that seems like a black problem. I don't understand what that has anything to do with us. It's very interesting. So, I mean, a lot of the Ethiopian community who had met my biological father, they didn't think he was Afro-Puerto Rican. They didn't think he was Latin because he's black. And a lot of people said, no, he's not. He's too good. He's not black. And when he was no longer in my life, a lot of them were telling my mom, like, what did you expect being with a black person? It's like it's pretty sad, but I had to figure out what I was. I didn't know. I felt like I did not fit in with the African Americans. I didn't fit in with the Ethiopians. I didn't know what I was. And it wasn't until I found one of my aunts showed me a picture of my biological father going into freshman year of high school. I saw it like for 2 seconds before my mom realized it and ripped it up and went into a whole thing, which is understandable. She had a very traumatic experience with that man. And after that, I was like, well, what is Puerto Rico? I did not care because in my head, I saw Puerto Rico and I saw that it was J Lo, Mark Anthony, and I was like, I don't look like Mark Anthony. I don't look like Ricky Martin. I don't look like these people. I don't see me. So why do I care? I
Mm.
don't see myself in them. That's just going to be another. I feel like I'm going to have to prove myself extra hard if I'm going to claim Puerto Rican.
Yeah,
And there
because a
were,
lot of the popular Puerto Rican voices are more of the lighter skinned Puerto Ricans. Yeah.
Mhm. And so I was like, what's the point? I did not care to be Puerto Rican. I did not care to be Latin. Um, I wanted to take French in high school. My mom forced me to take Spanish for 2 years. My teacher was from Argentina, happened to love Puerto Rico. She's like, I vacation there every year. Love. I was the only Hispanic in that entire classroom. So I was like, oh, you love Puerto Rico? I'm about to be your favorite person. Oh, Puerto Rico this, Puerto Rico that.
Yes. Puerto
And
Rico this, Puerto
Puerto
Rico
Rico this, Puerto
that.
Rico that. But like as I was saying earlier, like when I was growing up, somehow my ancestors made sure that some part of Puerto Rican influence were still in my life, even though I was raised Ethiopian, because I still grew up listening to salsa. I still listen to reggaeton. I did not know necessarily those were Puerto Rican artists, and
Okay, so you
whatnot.
just liked the
I
music.
just like the
Yeah.
music. I started listening to Bad Bunny, even though I did not care about Spanish or my Latinidad. I loved Bad Bunny, and I listened to him in 2013. That's like when he started on SoundCloud, and I loved all. Like my high school was old school reggaeton, but bachata, especially aventura, merengue, oro sólido, yeah, oro sólido, like solid gold. In English, oro sólido is I feel like I'm saying that weird, but they're I think they're all Dominican. The Dominican merengue. Love their music. Um, yeah, I was just listening to a bunch of that, and that was the vibe. I still did not care to be Puerto Rican, but I was listening to that though. But as I got after 2 years of learning Spanish, I started to realize, especially after my grandmother bought me that book, War Against All Puerto Ricans, it opened up my eyes. It opened up my eyes and realized that there are the history of Puerto Rico, the people of Puerto Rico, and there are people like me that look like me in Puerto Rico. The first time I ever felt Puerto Rican was when I was in New York. In high school, I went there for nationals for track and field, so I was a track athlete. I was walking around, people talking to me in Spanish. People were looking at my dad. We went to this Dominican restaurant. The lady looked at my dad, was like, looked him up and down, was like, and then looked at me and started speaking Spanish. I was like, I'm not used to that. I'm not used to people thinking, oh, that person Hispanic. And it made me feel whole. It made me feel like I was missing something. Like that first
Mhm.
recognition of, oh, community. Oh, you're one of us. I just felt, wow. I remember I had a friend who was African American that was living in Puerto Rico for a time. I was super I'll be honest. When I would go to Puerto Rico, I used to pretend I was African American because I did not want anyone to speak to me or expect me to know Spanish. I was too embarrassed about my Spanish. I was hoping no one would think I was Puerto
Uh,
Rican. And so I don't know if you like ever pretended to be like a tourist or someone who's not Puerto Rican, but I did. My anxiety was bad. And so,
no, I'm shouting I'm Puerto Rican everywhere I go.
oh my gosh, yeah, I was a slow. It took a while for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember we went to Calle Luisa. I think it's Bubbles. We went to, oh no, not Bubbles, Bebos.
I
And
literally was like, yeah, Bubos, but yeah, Bebos.
Bebos. We
Bubbles
went
is
to
like cloud. I love that word. Bobo is like a great word. Anyways.
Juan Bobo. When I saw that fountain in the, anyways. But we went to Bebos, and we're sitting down. We're ordering in English. My friend's African American, but she knows more Spanish than I do. But we're both ordering in English. And the guy takes our order, cool. Walks away, gives us our food. We're eating. I say thank you. He's like, cool. Now we finished our food. He comes back to give us our receipt. We're still talking in English to him. And he looks at me and he goes, do you speak Spanish? Because you look like us. And I said, that made me feel so good. But at the same time, I was like, oh no. And I said, actually, I am Puerto Rican, but I don't speak good Spanish. And immediately there was a disconnect. Immediately he went from, you look like one of us to, oh. And then just walked away. And I was like, yes, I am a no sabo. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Puerto Rican, but I don't speak Spanish. And it's like, oh, you're one of those Puerto Ricans.
And I had to deal with
Yes.
that too, like that shame and guilt, even though I wasn't raised by my Puerto Rican side, and all my all the pressure in my family too about moving back to Puerto Rico and the connection. Like my titi, she's always talking about how proud she is. She wants me to be the catalyst of all of us moving back. Um,
Mm.
and I'm just like, I'm like, I'm the one that's reconnecting. I'm the one who's doing this, that, and the third. When I got in touch with that Puerto Rican side, like they were all disconnected. They've been living in America, and we're all black. and we've all been pushed more to the Black community and felt more accepted there than we do in the Latin community. Because one, we're from the West Coast, so there's not a lot of Puerto Ricans in general. And a lot of, I feel like there's not a whole bunch of Afro-Latinos in the West Coast. Like, and when I mean Afro-Latino, I mean ethnically Afro-Latino, not, oh, I'm African American and my mom's Mexican. Unless she's Afro-Mexican, you're not Afro-Latino. You're Black and or African American and Latino because you're Latino, so it's not Black, you know. But like I remember people didn't even know what Afro-Latino was in Seattle, where I was born and raised. A lot of people didn't know what Afro-Latino was. I remember when I was signing some type of government thing, they said, "Oh, you're Hispanic?" I said, "Yeah, I am." And they said, "Well, you don't look Chicano."
Yes, Mexicans are the only Hispanic people, in fact, in the
The
world.
only ones. The
And I
only ones.
know Mexican people really appreciate that. They really appreciate that everyone, their culture just gets spread apparently to all the other cultures. Like
And they water it down too.
yeah,
Like,
we have unique cultures within all of Latin America. Like, come on, people. Even though like obviously certain regions have certain similarities, but yeah, I also like I noticed how you were mentioning something about like yeah, you said your titi was like encouraging you to be the one to help your family reconnect and like I think that is so cool and I think that is like something I'm seeing a lot in the diaspora right now. Like a lot in like Puerto Rican and culture in general, but like obviously the diaspora for the most part are the people that are like, I need to like learn these things. I need to study these things more. I need to understand and then use that as a way to like reconnect and
yes.
reestablish myself as like a Puerto Rican person and then maybe think about moving to Puerto Rico and yeah, I think that is like such a cool charge that is happening for a lot of us right now. It's like there's something in the air. I feel it. Like so many people. I met so many people this past weekend that had the same feeling when they came, like this girl I was talking to this past weekend that I'm probably gonna have on the podcast at some point. She was telling me the same thing that like she just like felt this call to like come back and like a lot of us were feeling that. And so I just think
Yes,
that's so interesting that and it takes a lot to like take the leap and do that. I know
it
that
does.
you mentioned like in when I was reading like some of like your pre-filled out answers,
Mhm.
you mentioned that like you were you booked a one-way ticket to Puerto Rico. Like what was going on in your life at that time that motivated you to just do that, just buy a one-way ticket and move to Puerto Rico?
I was so passionate. After I read War Against All Puerto Ricans, I was super passionate about the
Okay,
history.
so this was you read War Against All Puerto Ricans before you moved to Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Ah, okay,
I
because
read
it's
it
like a
before.
really popular book right now. And like a lot of people, because I've seen it all over, and like a lot of people are reading it and sharing the passages. And I haven't read it yet. I really want to. I read A People's History of Puerto Rico, which is another
Is
highly
that the blue one?
recommended. Yeah, well, it has
Right?
exactly. It has the correct
I'm
colors
about to
of
say
the Puerto
because
Rican flag on
I
the cover.
don't play with me.
Yes! Wait,
Don't
hold
play with
on.
me.
Wait,
Listen,
now I gotta get mine.
I
Keep going, keep talking, keep talking.
because like this one. Where's my other one? Listen. Come on. Come on. I
Yes.
listen, and this is a
Yes.
book I'm reading right now that my friend who's Afro-Puerto Rican here, born and raised in Humboldt, shout out Humboldt Park, Chicago. All my Chicago Puerto Ricans is about Afro-Puerto Rican women, four generations, I think. Super good. Yeah, I when it comes to
Yes.
history, when it comes to I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it.
That's exciting. I also love history. And I've mentioned this before, but I think I've told you this too. I studied cultural anthropology in my
Yes.
undergrad. So, I mean, history is like a huge part of that. And I saw that you want to major in history when you want to come back to Puerto Rico, right? And go to UPR, right?
I do,
UPR.
I do, I
So
do.
can you talk a little bit about that? Because I saw you, it seems like you researched the programs and you're like kind of like you run a major in like Latino history, right? Like, tell me a
Yes.
little bit about that.
So, I actually had applied to when I first originally moved to Puerto Rico. I was supposed to go to school, and I didn't. But that's because COVID. That's not my fault. It was a lot of things. I couldn't get my apartment, so I had to rent monthly instead of signing a lease. There's so many things. But one of the schools I had initially applied to and just never attended was UPR Recinto Rio Piedras, which is the main campus of the University of Puerto Rico, or Universidad de Puerto Rico. And to me, like back then, I wanted to be a lawyer. And I was like, I'm gonna do that, da, da, da. But then I, stopped going to school, started doing other things, not chasing, but attracting my modeling career. I am a model. Um, and as of late, I just thought about, I've been wanting to move back to Puerto Rico ever since I left. And it wasn't actually until I had sat down with you and your friends in Calle Luisa and had that conversation with your friend when he said, it looks like you have a love-hate relationship with Puerto Rico. I was like, And then I came back and I realized I'm actually traumatized from my last time I lived there because COVID and Wanda was no joke in Puerto Rico. It was no joke. It was, I had a great time, but it was tough. But I realized that if I go back, one, I want to make sure that I'm financially stable. I do not want to live the way I was living the other time. It was a struggle and I'm good. But I also was like, if I'm there, what am I gonna do long term wise? Because I want to raise my family there. I want to reestablish our roots in Puerto Rico. And I realized I love history. Why don't I put that into passion? And then I decided, you know what? I want to have a master's in history, and I thought UPR would be the perfect one, especially the main campus. And that interest of not only just history, but Puerto Rican history, but specifically Afro-Puerto Rican history, because there's this trend in the U.S. and in Puerto Rico where Black history is slowly just disappearing. And I've noticed a trend with the Afro-Puerto Rican history in Puerto Rico. What people know about it is always dumbed down, or I won't say dumbed down, but it's always put in a little box or corner and just labeled slavery and bomba.
Your comment that said there's more to Afro-Puerto Rican history than just bomba and slavery.
Exactly, there is, and don't get me wrong, slavery and bomba were and are huge parts of our history, but we established communities, we established our culture, and there's that whole debacle about, oh, bomba is an Afro-Puerto Rican, it's Puerto Rican, or it's just a Taino, it is Afro-Puerto Rican. It's this whole debacle, but the thing is, that is erasure of the Black history in Puerto Rico, because because what's it called, in I think in Puerto Rico, slavery was around 360 years or something like that. In Puerto Rico, and I'm trying to remember what the numbers were, but anyways, bomba wasn't always celebrated by every Puerto Rican. It was not celebrated outside of Afro-Puerto Rican communities for 300 years. 300 years. It was exclusively done in Afro-Puerto Rican communities. Now, whether some non-Afro-Puerto Ricans lived within those Afro-Puerto Rican communities, I can't tell you. I wasn't there at that time. But exclusively was done because it was seen as primitive music, as música negra. It was not liked. It wasn't until non-Black Puerto Ricans, started, dancing to it and whatnot, that it started to become accepted. And that wasn't until the late 20th century, or the mid 20th century. And that history doesn't get talked about. People just glaze over it from bomba started in slavery and now we all dance it. But that's not the whole history. You erased all the struggles, all the resilience that Afro-Puerto Ricans had done because y'all were saying it was música negra. Y'all didn't like it. We had to create our own safe spaces to express how we felt because of the segregation that was happening in Puerto Rico. A lot of us like to think of somos iguales, but that's not true. Just because Puerto Rico does have a huge poverty rate of 43%, and a lot of people do live similar lifestyles in the sense of classism, in the world of classism. But if you break it down, a lot of those Black communities are even poorer. And a lot of people don't even know about the Black communities, like Yaurel and Arroyo, a historical Black community over there. And this thing about all the culture and history that's been happening over there that people don't know about. That if you're not in that community, you're not hearing about that history. And then because of so many Puerto Ricans moving out of the island, you have people leaving those neighborhoods. And then who's going to be left to tell the story of who lived there? And that's what inspired me to have this master's in history at UPR with a minor in Afro-diasporic, or not Afro-diasporic, but Afro Puerto Rican history, or Black history, and racialization. Um, so yeah, Afro-diasporic because African, and then also with gender queer studies. And like UPR doesn't really do like gender queer studies, but there are programs and like certifications you can get that study around that and whatnot. And then I want to get my PhD in history. And I, as a queer person, I think it's also very important to learn about the queer history and things. I use my platform on TikTok. If you want to follow me, it's la__única_. I talk a lot about politics, about Puerto Rico, or just things happening in Puerto Rico. Because when I first got on TikTok, I was living in Puerto Rico. And those things are very important. Like, a lot of people don't understand, like, even though Puerto Rico is seen as the most progressive island when it comes to queer rights, there's still new laws that are being done to undermine those rights. Like this new law that's under the guise of religious freedom, to discriminate, like you can discriminate under the guise of religious freedom. So that gives people the legal right now to be like, I can't hire you because you're gay, and that goes against my religion, or I just don't feel comfortable or right in my soul to rent this out to you. Even though there's laws protecting discrimination for LGBTQ, you just made a law to say basically it's okay for your religious freedom.
It
And then we
is.
have
No, 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 please continue.
And then I was like, and then when it comes to women's rights, women's suffrage, they just took away women's autonomy over their bodies. I don't know if they just did that not too long ago, where Jennifer Mentirosa um, just made it a law to where the fetus is considered a human being right at conception. So making abortion hard, and there's already such a huge femicide happening in Puerto Rico. Little girls and young women get kidnapped and killed all the time in Puerto Rico. We have a drug problem. We have a gun violence problem. A lot of people don't talk about those things
A lot,
because
yeah, a lot of the femicide too is domestic. So a lot of the stories that I hear is a lot of the murders that happen, the femicide, the killing of women happens because of domestic violence that's happening in relationships, and that's like a huge thing. Unfortunately, commonality I've seen in a lot of Latino communities where you know I never want to like make it seem like Latino men are like this because that is not the case. Like I know so many amazing Latino men who would never put their hand on anyone,
mm-hmm.
anyone.
Yeah.
Not an animal, not a bug, nothing. Like the very kind, gentle souls. But then there's also this machismo kind of like attitude behind a lot of the more traditional men. And some of that's really sexy. I like a lot of that. I like really Boricua man. Like I love a super Boricua man. Like, oh, yes.
We can
Like
love masculinity, but then when it gets toxic,
yes. And it's
if it's
not even
to-
the masculinity, it's the culture for me. Like it's just like a man that's just like super like in his culture, like because like a lot of people here are Americanized, and that is not necessarily their fault. It is the presence of the United States. How do you not become Americanized when the boot is on you all the time and you're surrounded by American culture everywhere because the United States
everywhere.
presence is more and more and more, and the media and all the entertainment is American, and you know what I mean? Not obviously all of it, but I'm just, it's getting
Yeah.
bigger. And so, like, I mean, that's why a lot of the teenagers here I've seen speak really great English. Obviously, some of them go to schools where they're taught that. Depends on like where, if you go to a great school or not, how great of English that you learn is what I've been told. But like, I see that like they even know it just because what's popular is in English for them. And so they watch the videos, they watch the movies, the music, and I really appreciate someone who who is very not that. Like, because I think that obviously that's how I grew up. So I love somebody who's just like, no, I'm Puerto Rican.
Right. It's like
I like
puro
someone that like
boricua.
maybe doesn't even speak English. Like that's like perfect. I'm like,
Oh,
yes,
I
because the
love when I go to Puerto Rico. Because in my neighborhood, on my street, there was only one person. There was a person I was renting to who lived beneath me who spoke English. My neighbor on the left didn't. My neighbor on the right didn't. My neighbor in front of me didn't. His wife didn't. And I love that experience because it's like this is Puerto Rico. And a lot of people think everybody speaks English in Puerto Rico. And I will say a majority understand it. But like whether they speak it or not is a different. Like of course in La Metro and like big cities and stuff like that, yeah, I feel like a lot of people do speak it pretty fluently. But even then, like when I took my friend that you met at when we
yeah.
her first time ever her first time ever going to Puerto Rico, maybe I shouldn't have given her as local of an experience that maybe on my part. But I was like, we're still staying in San Juan, so it's still we were nowhere near the touristy areas and stuff. We stayed in Puerto Nuevo. Puerto Nuevo,
Yeah.
yeah, Puerto Nuevo. So like on the border of
Right on your way
Guaynabo.
to Vio San Juan, right?
So it's like it's technically part of San Juan, but it's like on the border of Guaynabo.
Le...
Can you hear me?
Okay, now I can. Sorry, it froze.
No, you're good. It's like it's technically in San Juan, but it's like on the border of Guaynabo. But like I will always say San Juan because as soon when you're crossing that border because all of a sudden the streets look nicer, um, and you realize I'm in Guaynabo, um, but it was nice. There's a lot of Dominicans that live in that neighborhood, and there's a lot of Afro-Puerto Ricans and Afro-Dominicans that live in that neighborhood in Puerto Nuevo. And we were just staying there, excuse me. We rented out not an Airbnb but a Verbo because I with Airbnb I'm always like but a Verbo that was locally owned, and we went there, and there was only one day where we found someone that spoke English to her. And that was when we went to La Placita. Even when we went to Viejo San Juan, we went to a Burger King. Apparently didn't have anyone who spoke English that day at the register because she had me translate everything for her, and she went to what was it, Patricio, like the mall in Guaynabo. I think it's called San Patricio. I could be wrong, but it's like a big mall. She went there, thinking it was going to be a quick interaction. I told her that she didn't need to know Spanish, that she would be okay in Puerto Rico without knowing Spanish. And I said, in Guaynabo, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in there, because I've known a lot of Guanabichas who will speak English before they speak Spanish. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, you'll be fine. No one was speaking to English to her over there, and she felt really overwhelmed. And she said, in that moment, because her phone was dying too, and it did die, she realized in that moment she was like in a foreign place, in a place where she could not rely on English 24/7. Like there will be a language barrier.
And that I
And
mean that's what I mean for some of not these like not your friend. I think that she was like super cool and super sweet, but some tourists come here and they expect people to be able to speak English everywhere they go automatically, and then like they expect people to a certain type of American that comes here expect people to like placate them as they go places, and and I'm just like, did you really come here not not really understanding, yeah, like this is a whole other country, but this is not like a judgment on your friend or anybody. It's just
yeah,
like
it's
I
just
it just goes to show how people really, because I think of Puerto Rico's colonial status, people see it as a territory of Puerto Rico, and it's just or of the United States, and it is
the
basically a
playground.
state. It's a
Yep.
playground, exactly. Like, oh, we just go here, and it's like, no, this is like a very unique place with its unique culture, dialect, people. Yeah,
I
exactly.
always tell
And
people,
and it's like going to like Cancun in Mexico and never like leaving Cancun. Like,
right? And just like
you're
I would
never
tell
gonna
people,
understand it.
when you go to Puerto Rico, you need to treat it like it's any other foreign country. Yes, are you going to see a lot of Americanization stuff like that? Sure, of course. The deeper you go, probably not. But like, especially in our metro, a lot of American things and whatnot. But America loves to be in places they have no business being in. So you're always gonna find some type of American something somewhere. Like you said,
If there's resources,
Cancun,
the United States is right there. The United States says freedom.
freedom, but like,
Freedom.
and so it's just like it's that idea, and like I remember, like there was two instances where I was in Puerto Rico where I was just walking around. It was in Condado, so in Santurce, but in the Condado area. And I was walking by and I see this person yelling at this middle-aged, person because it was an American tourist yelling at this middle-aged Puerto Rican, being like, "You don't understand me?" Like, da da da, frustrated because they were lost, I guess, trying to go somewhere, and the Puerto Rican did not speak any English, and also it looked like he looked like he was on his way to work. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't think he's trying to help you out. And then you cursing at him because he lives there, is on his way to work, and you're trying to stop him because you got lost. And
This is why I get so fucking pissed off. The tourists that come to Puerto Rico and act like that from the United States, because that is the name that they give for all of us from the United States, even Puerto Ricans. So,
Mhm,
like, they think that of us, even from the diaspora, when we come, because people act a fool. And honestly,
mhm.
sometimes the diaspora acts a fool too. So
Yeah.
it really just depends on an individual when they come here for like a visit, how they're going to act. But a tourist is a tourist, and sometimes I've even seen diasporic. Tourists act kind of, they're usually more respectful though, so but still, especially like you and I being people, like I think that we can relate that sometimes people might think that we're Boricua and maybe sometimes no. It really just depends. Maybe when you're here, people think that you are, right? But maybe when, like you've said earlier, maybe in the States, maybe not so much. They might not
Mhm,
automatically assume that you're Boricua. But
mhm,
like when you're here, people see you and they're like, no, obviously they're Boricua. Like,
mhm.
but like, I think like if someone sees me, not always, because like I said in my comments earlier, as I was telling you earlier before we started the video, like I was so excited because anytime someone in my comments is like, "You look super Boricua," I don't know what people are talking about. I'm like, I know,
Like you
right?
just get so like
Right?
you're like, oh my gosh, like like even the last time I was with you, when people thought I was born there. That was the first time I ever got that, and I was like, pero cuando yo hablo en español, ay, tú tienes un acento, tú eres gringo, sí, soy de la diáspora. Like I do have an accent when I speak Spanish. Like it is, I do have like I am a no sabo, so like when I do speak Spanish, it is gonna sound like a gringo. So when some people were like, "Oh, but were you born here or you look like that?" It did make me feel really happy because I was like, "Stop."
I understand that that is like a good feeling. And at the same time, like, I don't think you can, people trying to like assume where someone was born based off of just the way that someone looks is wild because in the United States, people look like from literally any country because it's such a like so many people from all over the world come there. So
Mhm,
like anybody can be born anywhere. Like I think the whole conversation of like if you're born here or not, like unless you're born and raised here your whole life is like, okay, yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. But like people just being like, oh yeah, I was born here. Okay, if you're born here and you left when you're like 5 months old and you're using that as someone in the, this has happened to me, and you're using that as someone in the diaspora to act like you have like a one up on me for being Puerto Rican. I'm like, girl,
you
a
had the same
tourist
experience
could
I
have
did
had,
here, right?
yes, I'm like, a tourist could have had a baby here by accident because they were pregnant and they came to Puerto Rico and they had a baby. And does that mean their baby is now like more Boricua than me? No, if that person is a fucking non-Boricua white person or whatever person from another place, another ethnic background, and they have a fucking baby while they're here, that doesn't mean their baby is fucking Puerto Rican. That just means they had a baby while they were here, then they went back home or whatever. the same to me goes for like other Puerto Ricans. Like I understand that because my dad was born here and raised or okay, actually I found out recently because my abuela was in the military. I thought my dad was born here. My dad was actually born in Germany.
Your
So
dad
they
was born
went to
in Germany?
yes.
Germany. Why was he
So
born in Germany?
my
Well,
dad full
military.
Boricua, my dad full Boricua, but born in Germany because my abuelo, I before a few years before my dad was born or right around the time or something, they were stationed in Germany because my abuelo had joined the military because my abuelo my abuelo was a poor Hiboro in Las Montañas and Barranquitas.
Barranquitas. We need to go. I've never been.
Didn't even we do. Oh my God, we do. I'm gonna take you the next time you
You
come.
have
Yes,
to.
yeah,
You
you
have to. It looks
like
so
introduce
pretty.
me to abuela, like.
Yes.
But I really want to go back. Like I need to be fluent in Spanish. That's like a huge thing. But yes, I really want to go back. But anyways, that's where my abuelo grew up and my abuela too. And like my I was told that my abuelo didn't even have a pair of shoes. Like they grew up very, very poor. He had 12 or 13 siblings and literally the same with my abuela had like 12 or 13 or maybe even 15. I can't remember. So it was like a huge, both of them came from like huge, huge like families because I guess that's just what you did back then in the mountains. And so, yeah, I think that my abuelo obviously joined the military to have a better opportunity to support his family.
Mm-hmm.
And then that my dad was born in Germany. And then after that, I think they came back to Puerto Rico for a couple of years. Then they got stationed in Panama for a couple of years.
Oh my
Then
gosh, that's where my
Texas.
abuelo was at too, Panama. Yeah,
Really?
my
Oh
abuelo was at Panama. And we
shit.
always like we are my family, we love Panama. We've never been, but we're like we always be like, we're on our way. At one point, because my abuelo was so like loved the Panamanian culture and loved living there and everything. At one point my family was like claiming Panamanian.
The Panamanians are giving him a side eye, like,
Like even my titi at
okay.
one point, my titi, if you look at her, all my Puerto Rican friends are like, she looks super Puerto Rican. But even now, she'll be like, oh yeah, I'm Panamanian.
That's so funny. Yeah, and then they went to Texas, I think, for a couple of years, and then they came back to Puerto Rico, and that's where my dad
Texas. That's where my
like
brother lives.
grew
Texas
up since
too.
then. Yes. Yes, it's so
Oh,
crazy. And that is like the story of a lot of Puerto Ricans and their families, like especially from the diaspora, is like the moving of like different places. And like a lot of them join the military and things like that. It's like it's a we all come from like very mixed usually backgrounds if you are Puerto Rican of like not just heritage, but I mean just like of how you grew up and how the movement of people goes because
yeah.
it's like back and forth a lot of times or like, you know,
Mhm.
yeah,
And it's like even
it's
before
interesting.
that, like a lot of it, and it starts on the island because like a lot of people, like a lot of jibaros before they move to Estado Unido or la otra, they're going to la metro or some other like ciudad, like if it's Ponce or Mayagüez or whatever is near them, to get a better life. And then after that, if it's not working, then they try to seek it elsewhere. Like it's a constant move, and it feels like what it feels on a spiritual level, it feels like a constant chase. And we all know we do not chase, we attract. And but when you're a colony and they just keep taking and taking and taking and giving you scraps, it's hard to like not go for something that you feel like is a better opportunity. It's just, but it's so intentional. It's so
Yeah.
intentional and it's so frustrating to see happen to this day.
Yeah, the propaganda is real.
Very real, very real, so real. I'm not just like, and I get, every now and again, I like to play jokes on TikTok, because I will see people talking about here's the best places to live in Puerto Rico, or like, oh, like I vacationed here for like one weekend. I fell in love so much. I had to come back, and now I'm here with my remote job and making like 5 times more than anyone else on the island. Because there, not to say there aren't Puerto Rican elites, because there are Puerto Rican elites. There are very wealthy Puerto Ricans that live in Puerto Rico. Pero Puerto Rican rich, is
Yeah.
different from US rich.
Yeah.
To be considered
And
rich
even, yeah.
in Puerto Rico, it's like in the hundreds of thousands. To be considered rich in the US is like 2 million. So
Oh,
you know
I'm
what I'm
like, that's
saying? It's
interesting because to me, somebody that makes 100,000 in the U.S. is rich. Like, it also, I think it depends on your individual perspective because to me, anyone that makes $100,000 a year, I'm like, do
you're
you know
very,
what
you're
I could
honestly,
do?
you're
I,
wealthy.
yeah, I would be like, wow, like I could do so much with that. Like,
Right? But see, that type of money isn't hitting people's pockets in Puerto Rico. Like, and so someone who, and the thing is with the economy and like how things are going and whatnot, it's like even hundred some $1,000, like that can be gone pretty quick. Like you're gonna still have to budget something. In Puerto Rico with that money, you probably get a really nice house. This down the third. You can live in a very nice gated community. And people from the
well,
States.
even the housing prices are and the land prices here are going up too. It's not quite like the US, but it's becoming that way.
It's
And it's because
they're like
obviously of the people moving here and just putting cash down because yes, they can
because they can
afford
afford
it.
it. And so like they raise the prices to bring more of those people. Like Ciudadela in Miramar,
Yeah.
who is paying that? And the thing is, I've seen some Puerto Rican flags in there, but I'm like, are they Puerto Rican? Because some of those apartments are $5,000 a month.
I do think so because I do think there are like sometimes that because I think like some Puerto Ricans, I don't know, maybe even some people that were born and raised here get online jobs that are really like proficient in English and proficient in their job, like
Fabulous.
get jobs like in the US online or something. Or I mean, there's a lot of like I've seen people. I remember when I was working in Plaza Las Americas, like I would see
Oh, but you
women
worked at
like
Plaza.
Puerto Rico. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's where I had
that
my
was
first ever queer
intense.
date.
Love it. Oh my God, I love it. I want to hear about it. Well, like I worked there and I remember seeing so many like wealthy women come into my store and just drop like $1,000, drop $500, drop $400. This was all Puerto Rican women. This was not like rarely would we have someone from the United States, like an American non-Puerto Rican come in from the United States.
Because they're
Um,
all going to Mall of San Juan.
yeah.
That's where all they're all going.
I mean, like so I realized when I was working that job too, and when I was looking around the rest of the mall and seeing all these bags and all these expensive stores and people buying things, I'm like, okay, there is money here. But like you
Yeah.
said, like the poverty is more prevalent for sure. I mean, like especially like I have always in my adulthood, especially like I grew up middle class, but like in my adulthood, like I'm just trying to call a spade a spade. Like I would say I'm like more in the poverty class in my adulthood because of just the income that I make. It's just a fact,
Yeah.
And
Me
like at the end of
both.
the day, when you look at the numbers, at the end of the day,
At the end of the day, your bank account's not lying. Like, you know what
I'm like, yeah, that's what it is.
I
And while I'm grateful for the roof over my head, I have learned to budget myself so I can eat and put food on my table and support
And good
myself.
job doing that because it's not easy. Like during
Most
COVID,
of you too.
I wasn't even getting unemployment at that time. I was
Me
using
neither.
that saved up. And
Me too.
it was luckily I was shopping very local and whatnot. And my landlord was his wife would make me food and just leave it out my door. Very community based. That one thing I really miss about Puerto Rico is how community driven it was. Um,
Yeah.
but it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, stressing about when I'm gonna eat next, how long my money's gonna last me was not fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now you feel like you're in a better economic position in the States? And like, what do you
No.
think? Okay. No, you're like, no.
And that's the
Because
gag of it all. I'm like, I'm not anywhere better, but I also know that if I get a job or when the multiple jobs I've had were all way better paying than
right.
what I can find in Puerto Rico. But the thing is, it's
And
like,
then you pay more in
but
bills
you
and
pay
rent
more, but you pay more.
and all the
But I will
things.
say of the
Except for
the
food.
benefits that I have in the States being poor versus the benefit
Yeah.
that what I had in Puerto Rico being poor is that a lot of people don't know this, but Puerto Ricans do pay taxes. A lot of people don't know that, but a lot of Puerto Ricans do pay federal taxes, and they do pay for stateside Medicaid and another welfare like SNAPs. But Puerto Ricans do not receive the same federal Medicaid or SNAPs that they pay for stateside residents to have. In Puerto Rico, the Medicaid they
Their own.
receive is through Mi Salud program, and it's very underfunded. It's not everyone can qualify, and there's not a lot of benefits to it. But so living in the States, I did get snaps. I didn't get unemployment money, but I did get snaps, and that helped put food in my fridge. Something that I didn't have that I didn't have that in Puerto Rico. And I can understand living it and being in the States and being having it, why some people feel that being statehood would be beneficial because they can get that. But that I feel like undermines how resilient Puerto Ricans are, and that we shouldn't just be trying to get scraps, you know? Like,
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of people want to lick the boot of the oppressor because they feel like they can get a scrap. Exactly. Like, well, you know what? Like, if I could just get a taste of whiteness, really is what it is. Like, because I've seen this in, ooh, okay. My dad told me, I'm like worried my family's gonna be listening to this episode, but
ah,
it is what it is. It is what it
it
is.
is
I've
what,
already.
la Ivy Queen said, la vida es así. Ya, mi
Yes,
amor, mi amor.
exactly. So my mom is white, and I'm like, oh, shock! Like, I love
I'm
saying that
black. Oh my
because,
God, no.
yeah, exactly. Like, oh, jump scare! Like, I'm not fully Puerto Rican. But like, I think that I know that at one point my dad told me my abuela encouraged him to find a white woman to marry because that would be better for his children, that his children would have a better opportunity. And my dad is like I would say like a medium skinned Puerto Rican person, if not, it just really depends on how long he's been in the sun. He can be a little bit darker. And I know growing up, like when he would come visit me at school or something, like to pick me up from school a couple of times, like people would usually ask me if my dad was Arabic, if my dad was
Oh my gosh,
I
people think I'm Egyptian all
Iraq.
the time.
Oh, really? I love.
Yes,
Okay,
I get
that's
Egyptian all the
that.
time.
I
Like,
can
yeah,
see that. Honestly, I can see it.
I guess I'm the only one who can't see it. I really can't. I'm like Egyptian. I don't know.
But yeah, and so like I think like they used to be like, oh, I remember this was right after 9/11 too. Like
Mm.
kids in class used to be like, "Is your dad from Iraq?" Like, and I'd be like, "No, he's Puerto Rican." They'd be like, "Well, he looks like a terrorist," and I'd be like, "Oh
Oh my
shit!"
gosh!
Like.
Like,
They'd be like,
please,
"Are you
teacher,
sure?" I remember one time
please.
somebody told me, "Is your dad's a terrorist?" I'm like,
Oh my
"What?"
gosh! But
Like,
this is. I'm just now remembering the state, so I'm like, I guess it adds up with the state.
yeah, exactly, with the state of things, and I'm just like, oh, it
Well, I
makes me
mean, like
feel
the
so
actual
bad too
U.S.
for.
state you were in, because it
Oh
was.
yes, because I grew up in fucking Florida. I grew up in Lower Alabama. I love telling people I grew up in LA. I'm like, yeah. They're like, where are you from? I'm like, LA, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, Lower Alabama.
I'm
Because
screaming.
it's literally
Oh
Northwest
my
Florida
god.
is a set. I grew up 30 minutes, 45 minutes from the border of Alabama. So you might as well say I lived there because the culture, even though it's like a beach town, whatever, it's still a military town. It still has that like kind of southern
Uh-huh.
toxic influence. So I think that yeah, my dad was told by my abuela, like, marry a nice white woman so your kids are more white.
Mhm.
And that is something I think that has been ingrained in Puerto Rican families, many Puerto Rican
Yes.
families for a long time to
Yes.
like lighten the bloodline, lighten the bloodline.
Mejora la raza.
Yes. And it's disgusting. And like, but like, I understand that that is what they were trying to do to survive. Like literally, like in their mind, like in my abuela's mind, when she told my dad that, like I imagine like that was like her just saying, "Look, I want you to have like I want your
It's
children to
usually
have a
very
better
genuine.
opportunity." Yeah. And that breaks my heart that, because my dad has described to me, many mm, racist experiences that he's had, or like, he's Puerto Rican, but so like I don't know if you could call it racist necessarily by the term of like what racist means, but it's definitely in that feeling of like, being like marginalized and being like very literally told you cannot do things because
Yeah.
you're Latino. Like
Hmm.
to your face, like I will not promote you because you're Puerto Rican. Like
Hmm.
my dad has told me so many instances in his life where he's faced many challenges because of it. And I think like it's made him sick. It's made him sick in a lot of ways. And so I do understand that he did that maybe so he could have his kids have better opportunity and stuff. And like I do think that it has to deal with why we also didn't grow up with Puerto Rican culture as much because like we did some things sometimes and like a lot of like kind of like you, a lot of the research that I did in being Puerto Rican though was like on my own. And
Hmm.
like a lot of the interest in my culture was like on my own. Like my dad would give me like little crumbs like
Which,
and I
by the
would and I
way,
would
I sorry to cut you off. I
no,
feel like it's
please.
not applauded enough. Like some people be like, "Oh, you're just trying to reconnect." Like people like me and you really took the time to reconnect. No
Hmm.
help.
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
I just want to put that out there. Like this isn't something you do just because, oh my god, Bad Bunny. Like I said, I've been listening to Bad Bunny since SoundCloud 2013. Bad Bunny is nothing new to me. It was about reconnecting. And for you, it was just that. And I just wanted to put that out there. Like that is something very important to highlight. But continue.
Yes, yes. And applause to you too, because exactly. And I think that even from what you told me, maybe you even had less connection to that. And so, like, I feel like you just really, because you told me you pretty much had to research it and then you got a ticket and you moved here. So you did it even on a deeper level where you were like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna go there without knowing anybody. Like, my dad's whole side is from here. So, like, he has two of his brothers now. Well, one of his brothers kind of goes back and forth. But one his other brother lives in the States now. So he also joined the military. All three of the brothers in the family joined the
Maybe just the
military.
military.
So one of his brothers, my Tionhao lives in the States. And then technically my dad still lives here, but he's moving back to the States. Like
Oh,
he wants to be with the grandkids, with my sister's kids. But other than that, like his whole side lives here. Like both of my titis live here with both of their husbands and all of their children live here. So yeah, I think that like and then my extended family too all still lives here. So that the ones that are living, because I told you there's like so many siblings on both sides of
mm-hmm.
my abuelos that, there's many people that have already like on both sides like half or like some are still living. Like we have family in Barranquitas. We have a little bit in Ponce and
Don't
like the
say.
rest. Yeah. And oh, beautiful. But mostly in Barranquitas. But and then like the more younger generations live in the San you were talking about you said, oh yeah, because we did it. That's right, yeah, yeah. So we researched all of this stuff on our own, and we were able to like reconnect. And I think that's like super beautiful. And so like think that like my dad, like even if he would just give us like a crumb of our culture, like he would be like occasionally he'd be like, "Oh, let's make tostones tonight." And so like we'd make tostones, or like I remember like maybe once, maybe twice, we really did Three Kings Day to like the full, like or not like the full because I would think the full is more like being here with your family, with the music, with the food, with everything. But we did like our own little version. I remember we had like shoe boxes and
With
like
the
I was
grass.
yes, and I was so excited. I think I can't remember because it was so long ago, but I feel like I was the one that encouraged my dad to do it. I feel like he told me about
Oh,
it. And then I was like, let's do it. I think that's what happened. So I can't remember if like I was like, yeah,
We're gonna say
let's do
that's what
it. And then we
happened.
did it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Or that or my dad was like, no, 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 we'll do it. So like and it was like it was super cute. And yeah, so like I said, we did something sometimes and like I remember like when my titis would visit, like it just made me feel like, man, I know this is like a huge part of me. And like you said, when you can kind of connect with that, you feel like a piece of you is coming back. Like that was missing almost like oh
Exactly.
wow, and like now I kind of feel whole in a way.
And I feel
Yeah.
like that in that moment, you can almost feel the pride of your ancestors as well. Because
Yeah.
there's been moments where I'll feel sad, I'll feel alone, um, and all of a sudden, I see someone blasting reggaeton or someone with the Puerto Rican flag, or like a song will play, and I look at the title and it says Lobo, and Lobo was my abuelo's nickname, and I'll be like,
Oh.
in moments like that, or I see something that says something Luna. There's literally a street here called like Paulina Avenue or something like that. And Paulina was my bisabuela's name. And so like I just like there are times where I see these things that I feel empowered, like my ancestors are there. And it's like it's in us. And it's something that whether you're half, a quarter, part, whatever, that's in you. And if
Hmm.
it's shining bright and if that call is to be back with community and to reconnect what has been taken, stolen, because that's really what's happening in Puerto Rico. Our land is being stolen from us, whether it's from the inside, from Jennifer Mentirosa, selling land, protected land to companies, or whether it's the U.S. keeping us a colony, you know? But,
Yeah. Well, think this has been a really good conversation. I kind of want to like start wrapping up a little bit, but I
no, of
do want to
course.
hear about like your modeling. Like, tell me a little bit about like, because I see you're just so beautiful, and I see you like all of your posts. And like, didn't you do a show that was specifically for Afro-Latino people? Wasn't that
So
like,
it was a show not specific for Afro Latinos, but it was for the Latino and African communities here in Chicago. And since I'm both, I was like, oh, this is perfect. And so I did get casted, and I actually got to model for um, two Latin designers. Actually, well, I guess three. Two of them worked together. They were Mexican and Puerto Rican, and the other one was Mexican and and then the other designer I modeled for was from Zambia. And so
what?
it was really fun. It was really nice. I remember I was over there. I was around a bunch of different, Africans and whatnot, and we're talking. And I was like, oh, it's really I said something along the lines of like, it's really nice, be with other Africans. And the director looked at me, she said, you're African? And I said, yeah. And she said, oh, I thought you were like Hispanic or something. I was like, yeah, I am Hispanic, but like
Yeah.
I was like, but like I'm Ethiopian too. And she was like, oh, I would have never guessed. I was like, well, now you know. And then I was talking to these other models that were modeling, and they're like, oh, you're African? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, like what part of Africa are you from? I said, guess. And they said Egypt.
Yeah, I love it.
I
I
was
can see
like, hey,
it.
maybe I need to look at more Egyptians because I really don't see it. I really don't see it. But yeah, modeling has been a great experience. That's actually why I moved to Chicago in the first place. It took me a while to get here though, because to get to this point of modeling, I was dealing with a lot of self-consciousness, anxiety, and whatnot. Um, and this is also me after moving back from Puerto Rico, coming out and saving money to move to Chicago. So I was so many things going on in my head. And when I got here, life really hit. It was my first time ever. Well, I guess it wasn't my first time ever renting because I lived by myself in Puerto Rico, but it was my first time renting in America. It was just so different in Puerto Rico. It was like my first, I guess, like everything's officially on paper and stuff like that, and all these other stuff. And so it was different. And I actually didn't have a job because I didn't have a job lined up. I moved here in November 1st of 2022. I didn't get a job until like July of 2023.
Wow.
I had a car though, so I was doing Uber to get my money.
Hmm.
And
Well, you had a job then.
so
You
yeah, I
had
mean,
a job
I had a
then.
job. I
You were
was
doing
self-employed.
Uber.
I was self-employed. I'm a tourist. I'm gonna do what I can. Um, and it was like I it wasn't until my ex did a surprise photo shoot for my birthday, which I was not happy about. Because I was really anxious and nervous. I took some swig of some ron, some donku. And I got in front of that camera and I had a great time. And then I was like, you know what? After we broke up, I said, I'm gonna actually keep this up. And I started doing going to casting calls and getting casted, and I realized how natural I feel when I'm on a runway model, how natural I feel like walking, and how excited I am, and how alive I feel. And it's also really helped with my self-confidence. It's really helped with my public appearance and public speaking and whatnot. And now when I'm out like walking around and stuff like that, the world is my runway. I kind of just feel empowered. I don't know, like something that I feel like it really was a bit of what's that like um shame therapy? Not shame therapy, it was like embarrassment
Exposure
therapy.
therapy.
Exposure therapy. That's what it feels like because I was so self-conscious. I used to think I was ugly, like the ugliest duckling on the fucking planet. Excuse me, on the freaking planet.
Which is
And
crazy.
and so like because I grew up with like a lot of my male cousins calling me ugly like all the time, and I like internalized that, and so like when I finally like went to this modeling industry and people were like, "Oh, you're gorgeous," or like this, that, and the third, I was like, "Really?" And then like all like the support I've gone from the Latin community in the modeling industry has been crazy. Because even in like the People of Culture was the show I was in, that what was the African Latin community. Like a lot of the Latin models were like we were talking, but one of them was straight from Venezuela, which is a topic. Um, and
Right.
we were talking. I thought she was Boricua because she kind of gave
Well,
Boricua mommy, and I
the
was
Taino people come from Venezuela originally. The Arawakan people that came to the island of Borinquen came from
exactly. So
Venezuela originally.
it's in that blood. It's in the blood. And I was
Yeah.
like, "Tú eres Boricua?" And she was like, "No, pero tú." I said, "Yeah." But I was like, I say my little spiel, soy Puerto Rican, pero no le voy en español. That's my whole thing. Just so people like don't expect me to be able to speak it. I have to get that out there. I'm not trying to have a full conversation with you. And I always get, ay, pero no, tú hablas. No, well, I said I didn't. But I felt whole. Modeling for me felt like that missing piece when I was like reconnecting with Puerto Rico. And something that people may not know, Puerto Rico is really known for fashion, their fashion industry and their modeling and whatnot. I'm sure you've realized the fact. I don't know if you went to any of the shows during Fashion Week in Puerto Rico, but I follow a
But
lot.
I look at the people and I'm like, yes. And I look at the people I follow online, and yeah, the fashion is a
Right
huge thing here. Like it's changed my style a little bit living
there,
here.
I love, love, love the style back in the island because that is my style. And it's so hard to wear that style here in Chicago because I can only flaunt it during the summer. I cannot wear any of the outfits I want to wear any
Yes,
other
yeah.
season. So anytime I
Your
visit Puerto Rico,
freeze.
right, I freeze. So anytime I visit Puerto Rico, which I try to every year, um, I feel great because I get to wear the outfits that I had to save for the summer, and I get to, I see other people with this, I'm like, I love it. And I have a lot of mutuals who are models back there, and so like, it's just great seeing them do their big ones, and it's just very inspirational. I definitely want to get signed so that I can model over there as well while I'm at school. But yeah, like it's great. It's amazing.
These are the conversations I love, and I love talking to you. You're such an interesting human being and like such a beautiful soul. And
Thank
it's
you.
been
You are
like
too,
amazing to be
Scarlett.
your friend.
I'm so blessed to be your friend. Like, I cannot wait to visit you. Oh my gosh, we're gonna have so much fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. It was so much fun when I got to see you when you came here, and yeah, we're definitely gonna have so many more adventures together.
Yes.
Um, I know you mentioned your Instagram earlier, so I did want to mention your handles again really quick. If you do want to follow Ermias de Leon because Ermias is amazing, and you're gonna follow them on Instagram, Ermias. So that's ERMIAS .DE Leon. So LEON. So Ermias.de.leon is going to be the Instagram. And then at TikTok, you're going to go to at arroba. You're going to follow LA, so la __ única _. So LA __ UNICA _. And that's how you're going to connect with
So you're gonna
Ermias.
find me, y'all. Follow me. I promise you. Especially my TikTok. I'll
Ermias,
be talking.
exactly. I was literally just about to say that. I'm like, Ermias's TikTok is lit, and that's literally why I started following them and like how we became friends because I was like, oh my gosh, this person is amazing. So yes.
Listen, you have literally inspired me for this New Year resolution. I'm like, I just need to post whatever. Because you pop on my For You page so often. I'm like, I need to do this. And lately, some of my videos have been popping off. So I'm like, hey.
They have. I've seen it, and like I've seen it because, and I love inspiring and just getting that mutual inspiration from each other because I've seen that me making more videos sometimes inspires people, and it makes me want to keep doing it because I'm like yes, because then I see other people making more, and I'm like yes, but then I watch other people's videos, and then that gives me an idea, and then I get inspired. So then it just
The
keeps
whole
rolling and
thing.
rolling and
It keeps
rolling, and
rolling.
we're all
Creatives.
these beautiful Puerto Rican creators, and you're all gonna follow us all because guess what? We're all amazing, and we're all gonna lift each other up and support each other.
Yeah. En la diaspora y en la isla. Todo.
Exactly. Like honestly, some of the best creators I follow are from the island. Like, and I'm really hoping to have some of them on the podcast eventually. I'm working my way up to there. I'm
Hell
manifesting.
yes,
There's
you
a couple
should. You
creators that I
should.
have like dream creators that I'm like recently one of my dream creators liked one of my posts on TikTok.
Oh my gosh, that's like
And then she
anytime.
liked the second one and saved it. She saved my video. I was like,
I love that
I'm
every
like a huge
time when
fan.
I remember like the ballroom scene. And when I mean ballroom, I'm talking about queer ballroom scene. In
Yes,
Puerto
what I
Rico, I
wanted to talk
follow a
about.
bunch. And there's some that follow me back. And anytime someone specifically in modeling or ballroom in Puerto Rico follows me back, I'm like,
Okay, we're gonna pick up on the
oh
next.
man, you know?
Yes. Oh my gosh. We're gonna pick up on the next episode with the ballroom culture because that is like actually some questions I had here about because like you were the one of the first people that like used that word with me. Like I've seen it in queer culture before, but like I never really understood it. And then that you stopped and explained it to me, and I was like, oh, I know this. I just didn't understand that there was a word for it. Like I've seen it a billion times. Like I
Uh,
know what they're doing. Like, but oh, okay, there's a word for it. Okay, so
the
yeah, I want to
the
talk about
ballroom
like
scene.
yes, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about queer culture more
Yes.
in Puerto Rico and outside Puerto Rico. And yeah, we have so many things to talk
Oh
about.
yeah.
So
I'll
we're
get
gonna
in
have
my
Ermias
first
back on
queer
very soon.
date. I
So
know.
we're
My
gonna
first ever queer date
in Puerto
experience
Rico.
was
In
in
Puerto
Puerto
Rico.
Rico. Was in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay, we might have to like film this week because I have to know. I have to know. And like I can't ask you now I can't ask you about it outside the podcast because I want to use it. But like
You know
I
what?
want
We
to
can talk
know.
about it and then we can just
Okay, we're
do
gonna
it
talk about
again.
it after the podcast, and then we're gonna talk about it on the podcast again. Okay.
Right? Well, we could do
Okay.
that. We could do that.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I love you so much. Thank you for listening, everybody. Have a great, have a great Three Kings Day.
Yeah,
Have
feliz
a
Reyes
great Dia
Magos
de
a
los Dia.
todos.
Wait, what did you say?
Feliz Reyes Magos.
Yes, Feliz Reyes Magos. Y as well, I usually say Feliz Dia de los Reyes, but I know there's two ways to say it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I always
I
forget
me,
that
I was short anything.
Magos is what I can't remember.
It's like I'm so bad at translating,
Magos is
but
king, right?
yeah, I want to say when I think of
Kind
magos,
of.
I think of like majesty. Even though I know
Oh,
that's not
like
exactly what
magicians.
it
Oh,
is.
magos, like magics, like the magicians.
I
Okay,
feel I
yeah.
feel it's like because they're the three kings. So like in my head when I think of Reyes Magos, like the honestly couldn't really tell you the exact translation. I
We're gonna
really
look it
couldn't.
up.
I'm
We're gonna look
really
it
bad
up.
at translating some things.
We're gonna look it up after this because I always say Dia de los Reyes, but I've also heard that, and so I want to know. And we're gonna tell you on the next episode.
Next time. All right. Nos
Love you.
vemos.
Bye.